Call this meeting to order for the CDC quarterly meeting of November the 18th. First order of business is a review of the minutes from our last meeting on September the 9th, just a couple months ago. Give everybody a chance to review that and see if there are any questions or comments or corrections from our last meeting.
Move we approve the minutes.
Second. Okay, a motion and a second. Marcia, would you call us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell.
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
Okay. Next thing we'll do is just run through the financial statement today. Focus mostly on the financial summary for October the 31st, which is in your packet, and then the innkeeper's tax collections. You start first with the innkeeper's tax collection. You can see we're almost right on the money versus where we are from last year, like within a couple of dollars. So we're pacing very similar to where we were last year, which was just under $4 million by the end of the year. We anticipate that to be similar for the months of November and December. We'll say that the Purdue weekend in November this year has drawn much more interest than it has in years past. So that'll certainly help collections in the month of November or for December, November business. So hopefully we'll get that in before the end of the year. Moving over to the financial summary, you can see we do have a current fund balance after October 31st of $4,181,299.03 in the general fund. And then in the capital improvement fund, our current balance is $230,878.51. And in the convention center debt fund, we currently have $401,533.68. And we will have claims against each of those funds today, and sufficient funds in order to fund the claims that are put before us, in addition to maybe a discussion about other things as well too. One thing to note, in the financial statement, you can see that there is an expenditure listed in the budget for the Karst Athletic Fields project. We will talk about that here in just a minute, but that money is budgeted, and if it is not expended by the end of the year, we'll just revert back into the general fund. So no expenditure, wouldn't change funds. And then we would just worry about that next year. Questions or concerns on the financial statement? Any follow up with how we're pacing, or?
I guess just on the innkeeper's tax receipts, is there kind of any general sense that occupancy is about the same as last year to date, or is the rates the same? You know, just tell me a little bit about the dynamics of the.
So I mean, and Mike, I see him racing to it, but generally speaking, nationally and even here locally, we've seen our occupancy rates drop a little bit in ADR, or average rate rise, and that follows the national trend. Leisure travel is starting to slow down, but convention travel and corporate travel have started to return back to where they were pre-COVID, and I would say they're at that level at this point. So it's just interesting. It's a shift in the mix of business that we're seeing. So Mike,
you want me to throw some numbers out?
If you got numbers,
I can. I just, as we were sitting here, I got the I got the October star, and so year to date we are at 56% occupancy, and last year we were at 60%, which is, again, just as Mike said, I'm seeing that across the country certainly, and that's hotels only. Short-term rentals
In other words,
continue
not
to explode. I get it. Short-term rentals, there were 869 available in the month of October, and 836 of them were rented. And those are both up over 25% versus last year. So when we look at rate is up about hotel-wise, rate is up about $9 for the year. Total demand, it's total rooms purchased in the market is down about 34,000 room nights, but short-term rentals continue to outpace that. And so that's why the market's up just a little bit. But I mean, if you look at just revenue, just again to show you the impact of these winning football games, the October hotel revenue in the market was $8.2 million, and last year it was 6.5.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that yet in the innkeeper's.
That is the innkeeper's tax number you just got. Yeah.
And that was from September, is what you're saying, is the September revenue, it hit in October.
Okay, yeah, he's in October, so I was thinking November.
So that's, I think where you're headed. So, and then October business, oh, you're talking about the Star Report. So we haven't seen that collection yet in November. So that's what Mike's talking about, is he's giving you the preview of the November collections is what that is.
Yeah, okay.
So we do anticipate it to be a little bit stronger, or hit roughly at where it is. I don't think we'll have any slide from what we did last year, which was just under $4 million. So we're anticipating roughly those collections. So, great question. Any other questions on financials? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the financial statements as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is just an update on the Karst athletic fields, or as you see on the agenda, the athletic. That's
Yeah.
a hip way to put it. The athletic fields project. So we had allocated at the start of the year $500,000, pairing with other things that were pledged for this project to redo lighting and create synthetic fields out at the Karst Farm Athletic Complex. And that was put in the budget as an allocation. It does not appear like there will be an expenditure by the end of this year out of that fund. Although, as I understand it, they have chosen an architect, they are moving forward with the projects and are planning on these funds. And so wanted to give you the update as to where that stood and why that number is still unexpended. At this point, we will need to go back before the county council next year and ask for that to be put back into the general fund allocation, and we can certainly do that, but I think at our earliest opportunity, which would be in the spring of next year. Any other questions on that project? I mean, I'm actually excited. From what I understand, the pricing has come in very favorable. We might even be able to expand the scope a little bit of that project. And so the impact on the community and on tourism in general, just being able to attract tournaments and sporting events that would use those fields certainly falls within our purview, but what a great addition to the community. As a longtime soccer parent, dang, I'm mad that I missed the window. But as a community member, I love having you.
We're really excited, and the county and the community really appreciates the CBC's contribution to this also. So hopefully we can get it done early and
So I guess that being the case, I just want to make sure we're all in agreement on the appropriation moving forward next year, just making sure that rolls over into the budget. So I don't know if we need a voice vote for that or or if there's any concerns to be expressed, just express.
If you want a little more of an update on that project, I'm happy to give it to you.
Yeah.
I believe last week the commissioners approved the field part of the contract. I think either this week or next year, or next week will be the lighting part of that contract. So, you know, we're getting everything under contract. It'll all be under contract by the end of the year. I believe Kelly said at the meeting that they expect work to be complete by July of 25. So.
Any other questions or concerns? And if not, we'll just move back to the county council and ask them to re-put that back in there for the allocation. We'd already voted on it to be allocated, and so there shouldn't be an issue from that standpoint. Okay, thank you very much on that. The next update is the convention center. Gosh, let's talk, right? So we are at a point, we talked about it during our last meeting, to where it's starting to make sense to go ahead and pay off the loan for the convention center renovation, and then the purchase of some adjacent land that we had purchased back, when was it?
2010.
20 years ago?
2010.
2010, okay. So we're at a point where this would be about 16 months early, but if we paid it off on December 31st for that January 1st payment, the payoff amount is $917,944.77. Don't want to forget the 77 cents, because we don't want to.
Is that 944 or 844?
944.
Okay, because the paperwork on,
I have a maybe.
Just make sure that it is right.
I have 844 on mine as well too.
Mhm. 844.
Okay, so I was reading off the agenda, which is not an official document. My bad.
yeah, the bank,
I'm sorry.
the bank letter
Yeah,
does say 844.
That's all right, yes. So it is, that's a good catch,
I'll make
Jeff.
sure we
Thank you
have
for
that.
that. The payoff would be $917,844.77. If you look back to the financial statement, you can see we currently have $401,533.68. In the financial summary. We also have a transfer already planned for the month of November of $43,000, which will go into that total as well. And then there are some rental funds that will be coming into that amount as well. So that being the case, the only extra appropriation we would need to take out of the general fund would match up to $424,236.09. So that would be the amount that we would draw down out of the general fund if we decide to do that here today. I do think that this makes sense. It allows for the city and the county to continue to move forward towards the expansion of the convention center property, and certainly wouldn't want to slow that down. With an estimated balance in the general fund after claims today in excess of about, we would end the year at 3.5 million in the general fund after we would have transferred this money. So even if we transfer this $424,000 from the general fund to the debt fund to pay for this, that amount would still leave us with a very healthy balance in our general fund to fund all obligations. So that would be a recommendation from me. That we would vote on this amount, vote off paying off the debt, and on January 1 in the amount of the $917,844.77. Any questions on that? One other document that Marcia had put forward, and I see you looking at it, Trent, I should probably explain that. This would be the appropriation amount. We have in our budget appropriated $636,000 for this year. We've paid 3 payments of $159,000 out of that appropriation. If you add those 3 payments that we've already paid plus what the December payoff amount would be, the new appropriation total in our financial budget for the debt fund would be $1,394,844,077 for the current year, fiscal year 24, since we would be paying it off this December. So that additional appropriation is what we'd be asking to have added to the debt fund. It is not the amount of money that we would need to fund that, because we already have a balance in that fund, which is the difference between the 424,000 number and the 758,000 number.
Got it.
So, Jeff, did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally in favor of paying it off, and these county council requests are helpful to actually explain where you come down to the numbers. I'm wondering about just a little bit about the property ownership. So currently the property is owned by the building corporation, right?
Correct.
And so when we pay it off, does the building corporation dissolve automatically? Do we have to do something?
Well, the building corporation would do a quick claim deed to the county. So the county, and then the reason for the building corporation was to monitor and hold that debt. So what happens to the building corporation, it will lack having any official county duties to do. We have another building corporation that handled all the jail stuff, and we kept that in place because we thought we would need it in the near future, and hopefully we will. I'm not sure that's the same case with the Convention Center Building Corporation, because we have the CIB that will kind of act and monitor the functions a little bit like what the building corporation did. It went well beyond its, you're a leasing agent basically role into really working with the convention center and alerting people to what needs they had and working through it. And I think the CIB will take on a lot of that role, especially for the capital side of it. So I'm not sure exactly what will happen with the Convention Center Building Corporation, but I think it does lose its authority and a lot of necessities with the CIB being there as well.
And so the Board of Commissioners will own the property then?
Correct.
And then will they quit claim it to the CI or part of it to the CIB as necessary to?
Well, the CIB asked the county for what were our intentions and what we wanted for the property and were we expecting payment or anything like that. And they probably did that in the spring. The commissioners responded with basically everything north of my sister's closet. We expect it to be part of this project, and all you have to do is ask, and we will figure out how to get that to you. I think the south of it is like, we don't really expect that to be part of this project, but if it is, let us know, come and explain to us why, and we'll look at it that way. So I would think for that kind of the northern portion of that, I think what I would anticipate is we would get something from the CIB pursuant to our interlocal that says, hey, we really we need these properties for this project, and then we would do a quick claim deed to the CIB for those properties. And then once the city gets around to doing their debt issuance using food and beverage, all those properties would go into some building corporation pursuant to how the building corporation code works.
Okay, that's helpful. And just because you mentioned my sister's closet, my understanding that their lease has been extended.
They've been offered to go to July 26. All of the tenants have been. Some of them have taken up on that and signed. Some are still deciding. but it's the commercial and the residential. So
Okay,
right
they've
now,
all been given that.
now we're at July 26th.
Thank you.
So the only thing that I would say about this, and I had already made the motion for us to pay off that loan. The only, maybe this is a separate motion or a separate, well, maybe it's a separate motion, is that the caveat would be that these lands were purchased with the specific and original intent of promoting tourism in Monroe County. That falls within our purview and falls within the statutes of how we expend innkeepers' funds. And I don't know if it's a resolution that we should put forward saying that that's our understanding of how these properties could or should be used. Any thoughts on that?
I think that might be important for that.
Just to memorialize.
That we're paying it off and it's moving to the county, but the goal is that for this to serve a purpose of promoting tourism. That's why it was purchased initially. It wasn't for land accumulation for another municipal or county use. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
Yes, as long as I think we understand that I would think there'd be possibility for the county to purchase that land at some point if they wanted to, or come up with an agreement to sort of reimburse the innkeeper's tax with others, or if the county wanted to use that land for a different purpose. I guess I'd like to know what Jeff thinks about that.
Well, that's what we did with the Napa building, right? The Napa building, I mean, and I would say the county had absolutely no obligation to do that with the Napa building, but it seemed to, the county council, county commissioners have traditionally really respected that innkeeper's tax dollars are tourism dollars, and they want to make sure that they are being fair to that funding, right? So when the county used the Napa building for Electric Central, we went ahead and made equivalent payments as what that would lease value of that property would be to the innkeeper's tax to make sure that it was being treated fairly. I would assume that would certainly be part of the conversation if those areas were going to be utilized for a different purpose other than tourism. I don't think I don't want you guys to think they're obligated to,
No.
but I certainly think that historically they've always respected that, and I would expect they would continue to do that.
Yeah, and I don't think a resolution on this body's behalf would restrict them from doing that anyway, but it does indicate the clear intention of why things were bought in the first place. So let me pull back my motion to vote on the payoff of the loan, and I would put forward a resolution indicating that by paying off these loans and turning this land over, the intention would be for the furtherance of tourism in Monroe County. These properties be used for that purpose. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay. That being the case, I put forward a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
That being said, I now put forward the proposal to pay off the debt on the existing loan, including the renovation of this property and the purchase of other land surrounding it, and in the amount of $917,844.77.
I'll second that.
All three.
Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
All right. Okay, how about that? Wow,
It's exciting.
It's a big day.
sign that check.
Yeah.
right? Looking forward to that. Okay, and then we will get on the county council's agenda to change the appropriation amount in order to do what we've just said there. So that being the case, I think we're at a point in the agenda where we would talk about Visit Bloomington's report.
Thank you. Coming up to the end of the year, groups we're working with are slowing down. I know Mike was talking about November and December, and want to remind everybody too that December 6th through the 14th, we'll be hosting the 2024 USA Diving Winter Nationals. 700 room nights is what they've contracted for, so that'll be another nice bump to the end of the year for sure. We've got a couple of really nice leads for some basketball events and doing some site visits with them in January. Definitely excited about the athletic fields as we talked about. We, similar to the convention center, Visit Bloomington, we will be ready to put some sales promotional information together on that as soon as we have some visuals. We're already talking about it. Pete's got a couple of lacrosse leads ready to come check it out, things like that. So, again, just as soon as we know what we have and can talk about it with some facts and things like that, we'll put some things together and start doing that. So excited about that. And again, kudos to this group for, that is, and to the county, that is a, of course the tourism aspect, but it's a big deal to again, get back to the community in that way. So that's great. As far as convention and groups are concerned, a lot of, again, slowing down, a lot of ISAE, Indiana Society of Association Executives, and Indiana Meeting Planner International Activity for Sean. He was at some meetings last week. We heard from two big groups that they're excited about the expansion, right? Looking forward to coming and checking it out. So we're hearing a lot of anecdotally stuff like that. As far as leisure is concerned, I'll talk more about the convention center in a second, but running holiday-related promotion through the end of the year. And Mike was right. It was interesting back when, in early spring when we were planning our winter and holiday promotions. Even we recall having a conversation with him about the Purdue game that weekend in general and just years past. And so we did plan some activities and promotions around that weekend, and now it's going to be jam packed. But that's great, obviously. But we got 17 special offers on our site right now, valid now through late December, of just trying to entice travel. We're running 5 contests right now, register to win tickets and things like that. We got several media appearances coming up in the next couple of days as far as on television in Indy, promoting holiday travel, holiday shopping in Monroe County. So we're excited about that. The big thing that's taking our time, that we're working on, and led by Laura and Jordan Smith, our marketing director, and Samantha and Mark, is our 2025 visitor guide. We will send that off to the printer in early December. So again, we produce that whole thing in-house ourselves. Again, we sell all the ads, all that stuff. So it's a big endeavor for us, and we're excited about it. We think it's going to be a very good one in 2025. We'll have that, if all things go as planned, we should have that mid-January as normal. And then year-end stuff. Just planning year-end stuff with my staff and things like that, and we'll be doing that in the first 2 weeks of December. Planning for 2025, lots of refining to our budget. Again, when we set our budget 6 months ago, things are way more expensive now than they were then. So just refining things and making sure that the convention center expansion and the marketing of that is our priority, and it will be. And as I said, we are looking forward to sharing that progress as it happens. I told the Capital Improvement Board last week, there are the rendering that's on the front page of their website right now is something we can use and things like that. So our first trade show is in early January. We'll be ready for that, to be, again, just start talking about the expansion as we're selling for today and for right now and things like that. So just excited about that. Our 2025 grant programs have already launched. Those applications and guidelines are on the visitbloomington.com website. Getting back into the expansion again for one more second. Also, we issued a RFP for a new sales and marketing website for the convention center that will, where planners can submit RFP, similar to what we already have, but can submit RFPs and find out more information, all that type of stuff. So looking forward to working with this group and the Capital Improvement Board and, all the stakeholders to develop that site. And as soon as we have the information we need and early to mid 25, and we got to know the name of it and things like that before we can do some of that stuff. But we should have a web development firm picked in late 24, if not early 25, that we can work with. Confident in that. We're excited about that. And then we, Felicia and I and our teams, we just continue to meet weekly and talk about our, how our processes need to be updated and we'll be changing going forward in the way we work together. And lastly, still not clear, and we don't need clarity yet on really Visit Bloomington and when the dust settles where we'll be. It's not really sounding at this point like there's gonna be space in the expansion for us in the convention center. So obviously we have our space that we're in now, but we looked at a place last week downtown. We're looking at a place tomorrow downtown, and we'll see what happens. But we're excited about that. We can be very flexible and nimble and ready to go. That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, great. Any questions for Mike?
Just a comment. I think you already know this. I strongly support you moving downtown. So I hope that anything that this body can do to support that effort, I would like to do.
Great.
You'll know all about it.
All right. No other questions for Mike. Talisha, could you give us a DPI?
Sure, yeah, so I'll pick up from there and say, they're really trying to hold on to that probably 29,000 square foot exhibit hall. And so in order to do support service for that, for the kitchen, AV storage, regular storage, 3 small meeting rooms up on the 2nd floor, 1 stairwell, that's the main stairwell that comes into that, probably a couple concierge locations and multi-purpose areas on that 1st floor. But it's a big exhibit hall that can be divided into rooms. But I think at this point they're looking at this building staying basically the same except for the great room. They're working on the hallways for that because of where the connector has to come in. And so I'm glad we had the ARPA funding. Super excited about that because we're getting some of those things knocked out now, which, today as we speak, the pumps and the controls are being hooked up to the cooling tower. So so we're pretty excited about that. The elevator will be in January. The room remodel was a huge hit with people. And so we'll be appropriating probably another 100,000 into next year for the rest of the ARPA funds. So I think it's the AV that we're going to work on with that. And then some of the other big systems will be in the renovation of the new, but we're trying to take care of the things that need to be done now. And so the CIB website, Trent, I don't know, it's monroecib.com. So they do have a video of a walkthrough now, just very general draft of it. So that really helps show how the space is being utilized on the outside and the hallways of how to get around. What else? The handmade market was over the weekend of 7,000 people and was a real example of we're bringing that many people down here. We've got to, have the parking question answered. So everybody was thrilled and happy, but it was really, really crowded inside the building. So they're pretty excited about the new space. Probably a shout out to Lee Marchant and Bob Barker and Jim Murphy and Joyce Poling, Tom Simmons, and Cindy Canarney is the new president. Jerry Neely, who all, dedicated their life, years, 20-plus years, since 1991, most of them, for, keeping the building corporation together. So hats off to them, and I know they'll be thrilled to hear this news, that we're paying that off. So the Bead Advisory Group, which is an art group in the downtown, does have the 1% for the arts to go into the building. And so they're looking at the spaces now. They met with the architects to see where there are potentials for artwork to go. They'll probably be doing several call outs and go through their regular process of what they do so that it's all open to the public. But they're getting started also so that it can be planned into the design of the building.
That's great, yeah.
It's happening for all these years.
I just want to say one more thing, if that's okay. In case I know most people in this room know, but for anybody listening, again, if things stay as they are right now with the football team, if we were ranked where we were right now, we would be hosting a game December 20th or 21st, which is the same dates as winter commencement. So again, just go Hoosiers. We don't know what's going to happen, but everybody needs to be bracing themselves for obviously at this point, I'm hoping we win. Let's just win out, and we'd love to host that game for our business purposes, but I think long-term a national championship might be a better item.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And Canopy of Lights is the 29th, and Constellation's doing a Wizard of Oz theme for the last couple of weeks of the holidays. And so I think that's going to be a really fun addition. Also, like that all going on while people here. Yeah.
Wow.
There's no place like home, right?
I'm wearing my red shoes.
Click.
Right.
Every time you think it's safe to go out of town.
Yes, yeah. And so Jean, with our sales report, Jean. It's all you.
Sorry.
A copy of that.
Great report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as usual, I am looking at analogous timelines from 2023 to 2024, and I cut them off on the same Friday of November this year, right before we went into handmade market. So, total sales up 1.6 million versus 1.4 last year. Room rental almost the same, slightly down. That's due to some discounts for some of the new groups that we offered. Look how close attendance and number of events are last year to this year. That's pretty.
It's almost like we've hit our miles.
Closing in on it. In 2024, we are finished. We're actually finished with, the big conferences that we have. And so December is almost completely big social events and holiday, 300 and 400 person things upstairs. But we had a total of 16 conferences in 2024, and 4 of those were new. And for 2025, the preview actually has been updated as of this morning. Now 12 of the 17 are new for 2025. Some of these, at least half of these are either in already completely definite with signed contracts, or I've gotten verbal updates from the planners in the last 2 weeks saying, yes, but it's gone above me to be signed and returned to you. So if you look in February, Incremental Systems is a group that we've had, small group, but 3 days, and we've had them here consistently for the past couple of years, but they did not get the bid this year. They do government contracts, and so they didn't, another group got the bid for the training this year. However, within a few minutes, I got a confirmation on a proposal that just came in last week, and it's only different from incremental systems by 1 week, so it's also in February, but rather than being for 25 people, it's for 100 people for 3 days. And that one's new. It's a Indiana Division of Fish and Wildlife. So, better than a wash. Indiana Environmental Resilience Institute has outgrown their place in Indianapolis, believe it or not, and this is a statewide group. Lots of colleges participate in this around the state. 500 people for 1 day, but a lot of them will be coming in the night before. They have a reception at the end of the day, so there may be some stay over from that as well.
Wait, Indianapolis was too small, and so they're coming to Bloomington?
The place they had been in Indianapolis, and a number of the people who are working as planners on this are here. Most of the planning team is here in Bloomington, and so they're familiar with us and the level of support that groups get when they book here. And they all came in for a big tour, and Lisa and I did what we do, and they got it approved. So, yeah. And then in April, and Mike, I'll connect you with this group, the Indiana Vintage Market, which is another big expo. I think this one's gonna be big, fast. I don't know if it'll be 7,000 for a day or 30, half a handmade market, but I think if it comes here a couple of times, it could be. This guy does pop-ups all over the state, but apparently he's pretty adept at the publicity to get groups here. And I have friends that from here that go to Indy and go to Indy regularly to hit the vintage stores up here, a lot of vintage apparel and that kind of thing. So he's got his vendor list ready, and he's signed and ready to roll. Moving on down the list.
I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but do we at least have like the agenda or something indicating that I know it is noisy out there, but I think we kind of do need to keep a door open, or at least make it obvious that people are welcome here.
Sure. I think there's something
I think
outside.
I'll check to see that, I think there is.
Oh,
There should be.
It's out in the hallway, yeah. So the construction's going on for the controls and the cooling tower. That's what's happening.
okay.
So it's good things that are happening.
Oh, yeah, no, I just want to make sure that
There was a sign right when I walked in.
if any member,
Yes.
okay, if any member of the public wants to yet join us for,
It's easy enough, just leave it open.
okay, thanks, sorry.
You bet. No worries at all.
So in September, the IU Office of International Services has been here with us for the past couple of years for a week-long training session. They use a program called Synapses to get the international students on board and up and running here. And they want to do the statewide conference for a big update this year here. So that would be 400 for 4 days. And I don't have a signed contract yet because that planner was traveling internationally, but she told me right before she left, this is definitely a go. And I had a couple of competing requests for that same week, so I was keen to find out if this was gonna stick, and so it's apparently going to. And then the School Safety Advocacy Council is a statewide group, 200 for 3 days in October. That one sounds great. And then for 2026, I have Purdue booked for Women in Agriculture. That's a Purdue Extension group. Not booked, but proposals out, and we're already communicating about it. It's the Monroe County Substance Use Disorder Summit, which used to be formerly known as the Opioid Summit, booked again. And I will say that Penny came out of the one this year and was back in our offices a few days later just to say, let's get this on the books now. So that has diminished a little bit in size over the years as other counties have started producing similar things. And I've even traveled out of state in Michigan and seen groups at hotels for this same kind of thing. And Bloomington was only the second place in, Monroe County was the second place in Indiana to have such a thing after Indianapolis originally. So as this has grown, it's become more specialized based on the counties around the state, which is a good thing. And then there's a couple of different fraternity, national professional fraternity association type groups that are in the mix here as well. And these are the boards of directors for the professionals who run the fraternities at the city level. I think that's it.
Okay.
Have a couple of
Awesome.
small hotel stay claims that I'll submit at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'm still verifying numbers for 2 of them.
Appreciate that.
This is great.
So just a recommendation, the one, the Purdue Women in Agriculture, I would either get that contract signed before the football game or a couple of weeks after. I wouldn't do it the day after. Just time it up so that you're not rubbing it in, okay? Just a word of wisdom there, but you probably already knew that.
Gene, do you know the day range of the Synapsis concert, the one conference in September?
That's Monday through Thursday.
Okay, great.
What is that one? Is that competing?
Well, it's just in September, so
Yeah.
it just,
Goes on for football.
right, we didn't even know this, so it could be, I didn't know if you already had blocks or, you must be working directly. We're not working with you on that one, are we? Unless
I usually loop Sean in and then Elizabeth next door because more often than not, a group wants that as the first hotel, but he needs to work with them to get other things going in other hotels. I'll double check. I'll send him this report just so we can make sure we are working off the same group of potential groups.
I just didn't know if they've already found a block, if they've already got some rooms blocked for that or what.
They will when the planner gets back.
Okay.
I mean, she put off a couple of things but said, this is on, I'm traveling, I'm gonna hit this in November when I get back, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jean or Talisha?
Great.
And here's some, if you have a place to hand out, these are so cute. They're like little yellow brick road. I just sent a
We're
bunch
taking
for
this on
you
TV with us
guys.
this week.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I
Yeah.
got a bunch
No,
to send to you guys.
we're together.
You want?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
We'll
give us
take him at the
one. We'll take-
yeah.
give us
we'll
two
go.
stacks.
If you've got any to take
Warm them.
over to IUU
So cool.
Are these
or
stickers?
hotels. It's just a, holiday activities. And they're around
I
town.
did it.
And we did the first run and then we did a second run and added some more things to it. This is part of that first run group, but it's kind of fun. Wizard of Oz.
Holiday festive.
It's that time.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I think we're, next item on our agenda is claims. So, go ahead and we'll move forward with those that were put before us today. Starting with the first quarter operational funds claim for Visit Bloomington. This would be allocated after the first of the year. We'll go ahead and vote on that now. The amount on this claim, which is based on the budget that's been approved, is $516,928.25. Questions or comments on the claim?
Move we approve.
Motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim,
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot, we don't have to sign those anymore. We don't have to
No, we don't have to
sign
sign
it.
them anymore, I know.
So you can just, that was it. That's all you had to do. So that was busy starting. Next claim that's before us today is convention services to DBI to manage operations in the convention center. This is the first quarter of 2025 claim based on the budget of $108,276.75. Any questions or comments on the claim?
Move we, second.
Motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
Next item that is before us is a claim for the replacement of 2 heat pumps that may or may not be what you're hearing right now.
It is what you are hearing.
So we know that the work is happening, and this would come out of the capital improvement fund. Part of our role as an operator is to continue to make sure that the facility runs properly and has what it needs in order to deliver on a high level of service for our guests. And so the amount for those 2 claims together, one is in the amount of $11,861.07. The second one is for $7,500. So the claim before us is those 2 together, $19,361.07. Any questions or comments on the claim?
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda would be a recurring, or was on the agenda, is no longer appropriate at this point. It was a continuation of our debt fund on the regular cycle. We will go ahead and pull that claim, and we will move to the claim that we just voted on for the payoff of the debt fund. So I have a claim from Regions Bank to pay off the loan on January the 1st in the amount of $917,844.77. Questions or comments on the claim?
Move we approve.
Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
And I don't care if I have to, I'm going to sign it anyway, just because I want it.
And you can.
It
All
does.
right.
Secure the box.
He's pretty bad.
Signed it. I think that's all the claims that we have before us today. There are a couple of resolutions as we're moving into the next year. One thing for this year, which we do need to take into account, is we had a transfer of funds set up between our general fund to the debt fund in the amount of $43,000 monthly. Because we've now paid off the loan, we do not need to transfer another $43,000 in the month of December. So I have a resolution here to be voted on to suspend the transfer of funds from the debt general fund to the debt fund for the month of December. So questions or comments on the resolution?
Oh, no, okay, that's the second one there. Okay.
The second one.
Yeah, all right,
Move to approve.
second.
Motion in a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell, Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
You gotta wait for me to answer.
I get so excited.
And I do get to sign this one. Do I sign this one?
Yeah, let's sign it.
Let's sign this one.
And actually, I don't know that this is
Necessary.
absolutely necessary since we're not doing a resolution
Yeah.
to transfer. But
I'm gonna do it anyway, just in case. The next resolution that's here is for next year, and this is for transfer funds for 2025. And we have set up a monthly recurring transfer from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. We anticipate still having capital claims as next year against this building or Visit Bloomington. And so we have put forward a monthly distribution of $4,166.66. which would be $50,000 annually, not $43,000, which is what is put on the resolution. So if you'll make that amendment, I'd like to make that change on the form itself to 50,000 and put that forward for 2025. Questions or comments on the resolution?
Move we approve it with the amendment of 43,000 to 50,000.
Second with the amendment.
Motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Trent Seats.
Yes.
Okay, that's all the resolutions we have. New business, one thing as we were talking through, and I'm listening to construction noise as we start to renovate or build the building next to us. One thing we will probably need to do is to look at some type of incentive for groups that are booking in this facility for 26 and 27 if we've got adjacent construction noise going in here so that we could continue to incentivize groups to not let the dust settle before they book with us. But continue to book with us as we're looking through that. So I would challenge our sales team to come up with what makes sense as far as what it would take to incentivize or retain clients to stay with us in the process of where something potentially will be very messy right across the street or adjacent to the great room, as they're knocking a hole in the wall. So.
And thank you for your patience today as we.
No, it's a great.
Don't repeat our errors.
Set that up. Let's set that up. That's why I brought that up. Any other new business we need to talk about? Any other old business? Something we need to repeat over and over again?
Just remember that we have to send that letter to Regions by November 25th, and the check has to be to them. It says 5 days in advance on the invoice is what it says, but as early as we can get it to them for January 1st.
Sure. So we are, today we're filing, later today, we're filing with the county council to get on their agenda for December the 10th to allow for that debt fund allocation. Once that's approved, then we can move forward with a payment shortly thereafter. So I think that was one reason for the meeting today, rather than tomorrow or some other point. We want to make sure we hit those deadlines. So that's all I have. Any public comment?
I would just reiterate what Talisha said earlier about the building corporation and all they've done. I don't think this facility would be anywhere close to what it is without that group, particularly all of them, but particularly the people who were there from day one. They were, I mean, I worked with them for a decade or so, and they were just very involved and very knowledgeable about what needed done.
They deserve some kind of community award. They really put an incredible amount of effort over the years.
I agree with that. Is there something this body could think about or could advocate for that would do that for that group? Thoughts or ideas?
It's a good thing to think about, yeah.
Yeah, we can come up with something.
Okay, well, we'll think about it. That's homework, and that'll be old business for next meeting.
Yes, sir.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, great.